Thank you for joining me on TMI Tuesday as we look at APC in Edo State and governance. And discussing this with me, I have distinguished personalities, chieftains of the party. And starting from my extreme left, I have the one who was one-time Executive Director of Public Affairs and Social Media under the government of the then Governor Adams Oshomole, and also the Deputy Director General in charge of media organization on Team GO, that's Obaseki's campaign organization in 2016. And he is currently Chairman Heritage Farmers, and he's Prince Gregory Ogiogwa. Thanks for coming, Greg.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And next, I also have a chieftain of the APC in the state, and he was one-time publicity secretary of the APC in Edo State, and also one-time NUJ chairman, Edo State, and APC chieftain. Thanks for coming, Godwin Era.
Yeah, bless my brother.
Well, I choose to start with you, Godwin Era, looking at the threats to democracy. We always have this challenge of internal democracy in political parties, and the raging threat of internal democracy in Edo State as it relates to some external influences from the National Working Committee. Would you say that it's a threat to the state party?
Yeah, I want you to be specific. What are the issues you are referring to? Because there may be more than I know.
Well, there's much to say, like the ripples, the wrangling in the State House of Assembly, the seeming feud between the governor and the National Party chairman, Comrade Adams Oshomole. You know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
So,
okay, well,
can we say this is a threat to governance in Edo State?
well, it's part of the challenges of democracy. When you have people of different opinion, people of different character, there is no way you have a political party that everybody will reason alike. You have people who believe in sadism. Their joy is making others unhappy. And you have those who are happy when others are happy. And therefore, there is no way you can have everybody on the same line at the same time. The issue that is on ground is very simple. I believe that my namesake, Governor Godwin Obaseki, was misled by people who wanted to please him, and then they desperately wanted to ensure that at all times they exclude those who they see as threat, but without admitting that they are threat. Otherwise, you look at you saw what happened, the revelations during the House of Rep Committee. You saw the clerk of the House. You will know that the step they took in inaugurating 5 willing members and 4 unwilling members, and then now trying to poke into the other side and all that. There was no justification for all those ones. It was possible for him to have brought every one of them together, hold them and show some signs of love. Those he thought would undo him may turn out to have been his best friends. And so a lot of things, they are afraid of talking of second term. There is no way you can confront the National Working Committee of a party, confront the presidency, create crisis, and expect that you will scale through screening for a return to power. It's not possible.
There's this indication that the external influence, like the person of the National Party chairman, Comrade Adams Oshomole, could be having a negative effect on this, looking at the certain agreement that was reached between the governor and the national chairman on who should be the political leader. What do you make of this?
Well, I don't know. I want them to say that. They have not heard that directly from them. Otherwise, if you look at the whole system now, as we speak, I think we have 11 members from Edo South, for example. 11 members elect. That's the number we have in the State House of Assembly. Today, only 3 of them, the 2 from Orionwa and the 1 from Kobaoha, are inaugurated. So majority of those from Edo South are not inaugurated. So the problem what they have done in the manner of inauguration and whatever is more against the Benin than against Oshomole as a person. And so how will people now blame the whole thing on Oshomole? Those who made those secretive and exclusive inauguration are to blame. They are the one who created the problems.
Okay. Prince Greg, there's this argument that for consultation and constitution of the leadership of the State House of Assembly, there should be due consultation with the governor. Yeah. Just like we had in the national level, where the president was also duly consulted. Yes. Do you see this as a far cry from what's happening?
You see, that's the funny thing about it. It's the kind of hypocrisy and double standards which you are seeing within the APC, the leadership of the APC at national level. Is hypocrisy and double standards. You saw what they did when they were trying to achieve the leadership of the National Assembly. You saw what happened in 2015 with Saraki, and then what they did this last time. And they expect that the state should not use the same template at state level. It is hypocrisy and it is double standards. Now, let me ask you a simple question. There are 24 members of the House of Assembly, all of them from the APC. Why should you now, before you are even inaugurated, you had already started to plot against the governor? You are trying to hold the governor to ransom by imposing a leadership that is probably unfriendly to him. Which party, which governor is going to accept that? It is the National Working Committee at national level that set up the template to choose the House leadership in the House of Rep and in the Senate. It is the State Working Committee that set up the template to deliver a particular team as leadership of the House.
Is there a constitutional provision in that?
There's no constitution. It is a conventional provision within the party. It's a convention. Okay. But it is the party that writes to, for example, to the Speaker and says, well, these are the people that we want in so and so place, majority leader and so on and so forth. It's the party that writes. It's not the members themselves that sit down and decide. It's the party in consultation with the members. These guys were voted on an APC ticket. Their elections and their campaigns were funded by the party and party members. Then they decide amongst themselves that they will not go and get inaugurated because they want to achieve something ab initio. They're not even members of the House yet. They're still members elect until they're inaugurated. If they felt so very sure about their position, they would have gotten inaugurated, then impeach the Speaker or go to court. You don't go to the National Assembly doesn't have any powers to do anything about the House of Assembly. They have the powers to make laws for Edo State, for the good governance of the state. They don't have any powers to impeach the governor, deputy governor, or the Speaker.
Okay, before we get there, let's look at the statement credited to the governor of the state, where he said that there are some politicians who wants him to share the funds of the state.
Absolutely.
And would you think this could be the genesis of these ripples?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very, very true. Look, listen, we've all been in government. We're all politicians and so on. I have even had recourse to go to Government House and ask for assistance for one thing or the other at some point in time, either for myself or a community or for something or the other. All politicians do that. Now, when we were coming into this new administration, it was agreed that the political leadership of the party, because at that time, the comrade did not have an appointment, either as minister, senator, or national chairman when he left office as governor of Edo State. So the governor, uncharacteristically, because I don't know any governor that would do that will hand over the political leadership of the party and say, okay, you be the political leader, and I will take care of the administrative end of government. That was the, understanding.
Okay, that was understanding.
That was the understanding. Now. So when you now found out that, because I'm a living example of that I took a problem to this administration, not directly to the governor, to the administration, and I was getting some kind of issues. And it was something that it was comrade who generated that matter. So they now told me to recourse to comrade. And I called comrade up, and his response was not what I would have thought.
Okay,
hold on, let me finish here now. If I had worked on his response, I would have been very bitter against the governor. But the funny thing was that the governor didn't even know about it. When we now bumped into each other, he solved the problem in 30 minutes. That's a perfect example. Now, if some other people now, they had that problem with the administration, you go to Comrade, they go and tell Comrade that, I don't mind that guy. He doesn't know what he's doing in Edo State. In fact, he's even trying to undo your legacy. Like he said that people misled the governor. It was Comrade that was misled by people who were lobbying to be ministers, lobbying to become the next governor, lobbying to be secretary to the party, and so on and so forth. I can give you the details of all these people and the exact conversations that we had on these issues. Those who are lobbying to be secretary to state government, those who are lobbying to be ministers from Edo State, and those who are lobbying to be the next governor, you know, using the slot of Edo South. So nobody can come and tell us one kind of story or the other. We were here when APC ACN at that time took over from Zakawano Garuba. Okay. So nobody should come and give us any kind of double standards.
You spoke about some certain agreement on who to be the political leader of the state.
Yes.
Was that agreement documented?
No, agreements like that are never documented. They're not documented. It's conventional that the leader, the political leader of a party in the country, for example, is the president.
Okay, but the present development does it not show that there's a deviation from that agreement?
How?
Like on the part of the governor, for instance.
How? How? The governor has kept constitutional requirements. You need a quorum to inaugurate the House and to choose, you need a quorum to inaugurate the House and to choose the House leadership. The quorum in Edo State of 24 members is 8. You had 9 members. Now there are 11 members. Because he was talking about, oh, there were 5 members who were forced. There were 5 members and then 4 members who were coerced, making 9. The 2 other members who walked by themselves to the House to go and get inaugurated, were they coerced? Making 11, okay? Nobody's talking about that. Now, it is already constitutional. It is already in the Hansard of Edo State House of Assembly. It is part of our constitutional history that the House has been inaugurated and that the Speaker has been chosen. It's in the law already. The only way you can overturn that is in a court of competent jurisdiction, nowhere else. Not in the House of Rep, not in public opinion space, not on TV or anything else. No godfather, no leader, no party, no NWC can overturn that. It is a legal issue and a constitutional matter, and that is exactly how it should be viewed. Okay. When people try and bring in sentiments and try and bring in opinions and so on and so forth, they're looking at double standards and hypocrisy.
Okay, some people say this as unfortunate as is happening in the state, looking at the ruling party in the state, that body by the governor and the relationship, robust relationship that the governor and the national chairman of the party used to enjoy. Now, the aspect where the National Working Committee seem to be influencing the decisions of the State Working Committee as regards the leadership of the House of Assembly, don't you see that as a hatched process to abort the government of the governor?
Well, let me make one thing clear. The issue of quorum in the House of Assembly, you don't talk of a quorum of a body that is yet to be established. Until the House is inaugurated, you cannot be talking of 8 being quorum.
Is there a provision for that?
That is the rule.
No, when Saraki was inducted in 2015, did you have the whole House inaugurated? It was less than half of the members of the House that were inaugurated.
Okay, let him finish.
Until that one is done, you cannot be talking of quorum. So the idea of, oh, they were this and all that, they didn't arise. Even when the House of Rep committee came, the clerk of the House said he was only able to reach 13 of the members elect.
Okay, but this development is happening because the governor, who is the political leader of the party in the state, seem to be challenged by the National Working Committee.
Hold on, Philip. We have not determined that yet who the political leader is. But that is an issue in contention right now.
Okay.
Because conventionally, the political leader is Comrade Oshomole. Therefore, political decisions and political mistakes and political conflicts.
When you say conventionally, you're talking about, but ideally, what should it be?
It's the governor that should be the political leader. But the governor needs to...
No, it's already clear that from the beginning, the governor conceded the political leadership to Comrade Oshomole. But that I'm not even interested in discussing who the leader is and who the leader is not.
But looking at the business, looking at business of politics and the sensitive nature of governance, should that be so?
Well, that's how they have made it to be. Because when it was okay, when the going was very very smooth, they had thought that they would remain along the same line, thinking the same way and all that. none of them expected that so soon there will be division. That's how this thing came about.
Okay,
so,
okay, that's the report that is being generated.
That is being generated. Now, at the beginning of the whole process, that is the nomination of candidates. That was where we can trace the genesis of this crisis to. Because if the governor wasn't comfortable with majority of those who were nominated on the platform of the party, then it is from that beginning that the battle would have started. But
that's where it started.
But how have we now elected 24 members, out of which you have maybe 4 or 5 on the side of the governor, trying to exclude the majority from inauguration? It's something that no party would want to smile at. And then the idea of House of Rep not having constitution is called that we'll have it. Let us wait till the next 2 weeks. You see the outcome of the whole thing. We are saying that the House of Rep does not have control over the State Assembly. That is not true. It's very clear.
Okay, going by the development that has happened, and even the governor saying there are some politicians who want him to share money that belongs to the state. And if the other faction has their way, don't you think that will be a threat to the governance that we have in Edo State, that a lot have seen as very, very positive and dynamic in terms of the development of the current government?
I am one of the political leaders in the state, whether they acknowledge it or not, because 3 parties form APC in this country. I was the state chairman of CPC. And so when you talk of the origin of APC in Edo State, 4 or 5 of us were the first founders, the then governor and the 3 chairmen of the 3 legacy parties. That one is there. He cannot say that I have ever come to ask him for kobo. I'm not interested in such things. And so when you talk about, people wanting him to share money and all that, by the time he allows us to go into that world, a lot of things, exposition, will come in. So how will a governor be talking of...
When you say exposition, what do you mean?
Well, things that he has done that shows that he too has not been free from sharing government money.
Amongst
those who are with him. We are aware of somebody who was going to travel abroad. They asked him for money. He sent some money. That one now said, no, what you sent is not enough. He completed it 100,000. And that's how the person turned from the other side to where he is and all that. We are aware of so many.
Does the governor have discretion over that?
Absolutely.
That is why we are talking about. What we are saying now is, you are saying some people are sharing money. I mean, why the money you want you to share money? Okay. You are already sharing the money.
Okay.
Is that not evidence of money sharing?
See, I wanted to point out something. He said that the house was going to be inaugurated and that 5 were for the governor. Who were the other ones for?
Yeah, I didn't say 5 were for the governor. I didn't say so.
You said 5 were for the governor. You said about 5 were for the governor. Okay, so who are the others for? Before the house was inaugurated, it shows you that there was already a plot ab initio to hold these governments to ransom and the governor to ransom. That's why from the very beginning, if you are all members of the same party, what's wrong with, if you don't like the speaker, impeach him? If the governor has imposed the speaker, get inaugurated, represent your constituencies as you have been voted to do, then impeach the speaker. How many speakers have we had in Edo State under the PDP? How many speakers did we have that were impeached over a period of a couple of years? So it shows you that from the beginning, before that house was inaugurated, there was already a plot in place to hold this governor to ransom. And that's what we're not going to ever agree. Now, if you want me to, I will play you a tape of a conversation that was had by these members-elect, which revealed completely their plan. Do you want me to play it?
No, there's no need for that because we need to also verify that.
Well, okay. But I can tell you one thing. It has exposed completely their plan, their sources of funding, and all their intention to destabilize Edo State. What for? If you are patriotic Edo State citizens, and what you want is the good governance of Edo State. We're not looking for we don't care who the speaker is. We don't care who the principal officers are. What we want are laws, good laws, to ensure the good governance of Edo State. That's what we want. We didn't send you there to go and start fighting for who is speaker or who is going to be majority leader. Those things are personal, and they are only attempts to use to hold this governor to ransom. And that's what we're saying. There are 24 of you from the same party. And then you're already saying that, oh, 5 were for the governor. Who were the rest for? It goes to show you now that the nomination of those others, of the 19 others, if he says that 5 were for the governor, the nomination of those 19 others didn't come from the governor then. That's what it means.
Okay, well, in all of this, there seems to be a light at the end of the tunnel, because just recently we had the ad hoc committee, the 7-man pro panel of the House of Rep, that is set to really investigate into these matters and submit a report to the National Assembly, by which an action will be taken.
The case is in court.
In light of the court order by Umar, what do you make of that?
The case is in court. That's why I'm saying that this is just, it's an exercise in futility if they haven't worked it out yet. My brother here was saying that the House of Rep has those powers. If you read the Constitution properly, the House of Rep only has powers to make laws for the good governance of Edo State, for the state in question. And first of all, you must prove that the state itself is in a state of insecurity and crisis, not the political party, not the House of Assembly. It's got to show that because of some kind of crisis, either security crisis and so on, that the House of Assembly is not able to carry out its normal functions. You already have 11 members that are inaugurated. They have formed a quorum. The House can carry out its constitutionally mandated duties as it were. Now, anybody who thinks that the House was wrongfully constituted, that there was a breach in the Constitution, the only people that can determine it is a court of competent jurisdiction.
Okay, I'll come back to you.
I'll come back to you on that.
Opinion. I need your opinion in this, the aspect of the ad hoc committee set up by the House of Rep. Well, in light of the court order.
I have said that. You see, the problem we have, which I think the governor has, is that when you have people who, for one reason or the other, have continued to mislead him, to mislead him from one point to another, they have difficulty coming back to say, we have realized our mistake. For example, the court cannot stop the House of Rep from performing its constitutional duty.
The court cannot stop?
The court cannot stop them.
Okay, so by that you mean, okay, the court order as it refers to...
House of Rep was not part of the respondent to that suit. Okay. But even you, my colleagues, the journalists, this matter should have been easier if you look at it the way it was. You have a parliamentary correspondent in Edo State. Was your correspondent present at the inauguration? Sure. How many of the assembly correspondents were there? They were not there because the thing was done in the night.
Was the Constitution...
Aside official hours.
Was the Constitution fulfilled? That's what matters.
It wasn't fulfilled.
No, then there's only the courts that...
Whatever that is done outside official hours.
It's only the courts that will determine.
I'll come back to you, but let him finish.
So if you now say, because you wanted to avoid the majority, then you took minority there at night.
But that seemed to be different from what the clerk of the House did say concerning the proclamation, and that they were properly informed about.
The clerk said he was able to reach 13 out of 24. He said he got the proclamation on the 14th. Between 14th and on the 17th, you and I are media men. Was there not ample time to announce it? Was there no ample time to arrange to reach every one of them, even physically? And you are aware that on the same 17th, there was a press conference addressed by 19 of them, calling on the governor to inaugurate or to issue a proclamation letter. And meanwhile, the clerk, if what he's saying was right, was already in possession of the letter of proclamation. Then who do you blame? Okay,
the aspect where Gregory made mention of the fact that, well, if the
leadership tussle, let him.
If the leadership tussle is the challenge, I'm coming to you. If the leadership tussle is the challenge here, can't the other members-elect who have not been inaugurated come to the House, and why the Speaker undertake the inauguration, whereby they can now make a challenge on who can become the Speaker by impeachment of the current Speaker? Won't that have been the easier way to go about it, rather than
the legal way too?
Well, for now, only the House members can answer that.
They're not even.
But once they don't believe at all, once they don't believe in that inauguration, there is no point identifying with it. You are also aware that even the hotel where they were burgled by talks led by a prominent official of the government.
So that was an allegation?
Yes, but you saw it on the screen, it was displayed now. And so those members elect have every justification to say that, well, we are no longer safe because the authority here wants us harmed.
Why?
If that video this thing is even enough for someone to even seek asylum anywhere, you saw the video now from that hotel. You heard all the shouting. Hey, this is a class of carpet going, catching him out. You saw them. And so with such things, you expect them to now move to the house, then where talks will be in charge. As far as they are concerned, everything that was done in the night belongs to the night. On the daytime, it's not proper. Was the government inaugurated in the night?
What's your reaction to that? He made some statements concerning
these statements are all sentimental, and they're all opinions. I don't want to give my own opinion, because my opinion is vastly different from his. What I'm saying is that when two people or two parties do not agree, there's got to be an objective interpreter. This matter, if you say that the house was not inaugurated constitutionally or legally, there's only one body. If the executive and the legislature cannot agree, it is the judiciary that interprets the Constitution. So why have they not gone to court and then seek judicial redress and prove to the court that what happened was a breach of the Nigerian Constitution? If they do that, nobody's going to be able to argue with them. But you don't go to Abuja and sit down there and connive amongst yourselves and use it as an opportunity to collect money from all sorts of people and come and use that money to come and wage a war. We have the evidence of what they're doing.
Okay, going forward.
Now, the thing about it is this. It's a constitutional and legal matter. No matter what anybody wants to say about it. No matter what anybody wants to say. And the House of Rep, they can only pass a resolution. Their resolutions are not binding on Edo State government, because they have not assumed the leadership, they have not assumed control of the House of Assembly yet.
Is that what the Section 11, subsection 4 of the 99th Constitution says?
And it only says that they can proclaim laws for the good governance of the state. They cannot change the House sitting order, the processes and procedures of the House. They can't do that. They can't change the Speaker. They can't impeach the governor. They can't impeach the deputy governor. They can't do that.
But you agree they can take over leadership of the House?
No. They can't take over. Should it only make laws as if the House were sitting.
Yeah, but should it get there?
Well, if the recalcitrant members who have decided to abdicate their constitutional responsibilities, and another thing that they're forgotten is that they have 120 days to be inaugurated. If they don't do that, we will go to court and ask the court to declare their seats vacant according to the Constitution, and we will run by elections in those constituencies, and then they can do whatever they want to do. They will see what will happen. They think that this is a joke, or that we're going to back down, that they're going to come up with a political solution to a legal problem. It's not going to happen. The law is very clear. You have 120 days to present yourself as a member of the House after you have been sworn, after you have been elected, duly elected. Once you don't do that, we will declare your seat vacant.
Okay, let's look at what is
in an official crisis mode.
Let's look at the limit of days. Like he said, 120 days. Are you in that agreement with
well, we are bypassing the fact that even the constitution of the party says that for every member must first, every aggrieved member must first exhaust all internal means of reconciliation.
Okay.
It is only after you have exhausted all that you can think of a resort to court. And so what the excluded members are doing, they are trying to exhaust all the internal means of resolution.
Okay, but looking at the 120 days, for instance,
which is constitutional.
Let us get to that point. He has said that the House of Assembly, the House of Rep doesn't have power to take over the House of Assembly. But at a point just now, he also said they have not taken over the House of Assembly yet. You and I, you look at the
Okay, what's your opinion in that? Do you think the House of Assembly has power to take over the
House of Rep? They have power.
They have power to take over the House of Assembly?
Yes. They have.
You see, their powers under that law is to make laws for the good governance of Edo State.
Yes. But once they are taking over the making of law for the good governance of this state, that is taking over the functions of the State House of Assembly. It means the House of Assembly does not exist. That's a simple tip. Now you have admitted that they have right to take over and make laws for the good governance of the state.
Okay, in all of this,
yeah.
What's your charge, and what do you think is the way forward in respect of resolving these issues outside what the House of Representatives
my advice
is really
generally is for everybody, all the parties involved, to drop his pride and arrogance. Those who have gone astray should humble themselves. In the interest of the party, everybody should come to a round table and say, look, let's resolve this issue
amicably
and all that and so on.
Okay, because there's something at stake if the other faction has its way. Looking at the government of the current governor, don't you think that also should be considered?
The thing is, it's all ridiculous. If after the State Assembly election, we were celebrating 24 by 24, 24 over 24 in the House. Now, even as one party, then we are afraid that internally some of them will also harm them. If that was what happened, that is, if they had been inaugurated as they ought to be inaugurated, all of them, if there was no exclusion, and then they now start moving for the impeachment of the governor unjustly, you would have seen that the reaction would have been worse than what we are having now. Nobody would have supported them. And even within the party, it would have been difficult for them to get the support of even the National Assembly or National Working Committee. But the attempt that has, all the effort that has been made now, I have asked you just now, was your correspondent there?
Okay, but this argument you are making now, is it in the benefit of the people of the state?
Aha.
It is in,
because we've had various matches,
yes,
for the governor. And even on our current affairs programs, we've had calls pouring in support of the governor in this case. Do you think what you're bringing on board now, the argument, will be in favor of
Let me tell you that the one you call matches,
yes,
if the situation turn the other way tomorrow, those who came to march, they say up to 90 of them will also come to castigate the same Obaseki. All of them also, if Oshomole now say he's coming to this thing, you will have much more than that and all that. So I don't believe in all those RNG, solidarity and protests or whatever. I don't believe in it. Because I can assure you that if Oshomole wanted to also
arrange something,
arrange this thing, it will have,
arrangement versus arrangement.
So by this you agree that the fight, the battle is between the national chairman
now
and
it's
the
becoming
government.
clearer.
No, in the protest, that was the impression that they created.
Nobody mentioned Oshomole's name. Nobody.
No, it was very detailed now. They talk about godfatherism.
Exactly. Is Oshomole a godfather?
Is
Oshomole a godfather?
Who is the godfather they were referring to?
No, if Oshomole is a godfather, we will all fight against him. Because we all fought against godfather.
Who are you already fighting against? You have said just now.
The principle of godfather.
No.
Nobody is fighting against Oshomole.
Here at the beginning of this discussion, you said
yes.
Oshomole.
No.
The governor considered leadership to
the governor to react on that.
Basically, yeah, the governor has considered political leadership to Comrade Oshomole. But Comrade Oshomole has not come out to say he's a godfather. And for example, in Edo State, we all fought against godfatherism from even before Comrade Oshomole. Comrade Oshomole came to meet us fighting at...
Really verify that.
Exactly.
Because,
so you shouldn't use things like that in public.
Basically, we can't be discussing that
use that in public.
Now, let's look at the way forward, because we've had so much issues about the security of the state,
yes,
and as it also transcends to that of other states. Like recently, we had issue about the killing of the daughter of the leader of Afenifere, Pa Ruben Fasoranti. Now, this actually has been issues that the APC-controlled government at the center is expected to have tackled in terms of making sure that security in our highways are guaranteed. What do you make of this development?
Well, I believe that any politician or anybody, whether APC leader or whatever, in this state, who believes that the way the herdsmen and some other tribal terrorists are killing people is in any way acceptable. Nobody, such person cannot be normal. Even me as APC leader in the state, I am dissatisfied with the way the government is handling this issue of the security.
Okay, you think the federal government is not having a handle on it?
I believe that the federal government could have done more. I believe that the security agencies should have been able to disarm all these herdsmen.
Okay, do you also believe that there should be a security
I think that the APC federal government
in terms of the architecture
has failed woefully.
I'll come back to you, but let's look at the security architecture. Do you think there should be a very big change in that direction?
No, it's the political will. I am sure that if the president sincerely comes out and says, every herdsman that you see holding guns, disarm him. If he refuses to be disarmed, shoot him down.
So you think the political will is absent?
It is absent. Okay. Like he said, that is
okay. Your opinion in that, that's failed.
They have failed. There's no doubt about that.
President Buhari has failed completely, because the primary objective of government is the security of lives and property of the Nigerian citizens. On that score, it's failed.
Zero.
The second part, the economy. He's not taking it anywhere. So what is the basis of him remaining there? Because what has happened now with this APC federal government is that it has shown that the progressives of Nigeria have not become progressive. They're not really progressive. They have become conservative.
But if you are saying that the president has failed, and knowing full well that you've been a party stalwart, and you've worked for the progress, you work for the progress of the president being even elected for the second term.
Yes.
Don't you think you also share in that?
I do. I agree completely. And I'm saying that, you know, now when man wake up, now be money. So right now, from what we're seeing with this, in fact, even the thought of that Ruga settlement was an insult on the sensibilities and intelligence of Nigerians. It was an insult. Is
the state government buying into it?
Hell, it can never happen. Hell no. Never in Edo State will you set up a Fulani settlement. You can't. Fulani settlements have been in Edo State forever. For centuries. For centuries. My great-grandmother was Fulani. In this Edo State, they have a community in my village, Yerewa. They have a voting. They've been there for over 150 years.
Okay, your final words in all of this thought as we round off.
So basically, what I'm saying is this: we have to now devolve power from the center to the component units. Whether it is in government or security, we must have state police, local government police, community police. We must have the local government party should have power over its own structure. Local government working committee of the parties. State working committee of the parties must have control over what is happening in the state. National working committee should mind their business, coordinate the states, and make sure that they deliver on our manifesto promises, which security and economics and fight against security, economy, fight against corruption. They are not doing that. They are busy fighting in Zamfara State, in Rivers State, Ogun State, now Edo State, then Kogi State. They are busy playing politics. Who is going to be minister? Who is going to be doing this? And they are not delivering. And that is a shame. What they have done is that they have brought a shame on the concept of progressivism. When a party that is supposed to be progressive now becomes conservative, even more conservative than the PDP. And
okay, thank you, Greg. Thank you, Greg, for your contributions on this. Thank you for taking our time and for pulling through in all of this. Your final words in this?
Well, in the end, I advise every stakeholder in the system to think of the way for peace, to realize that in the end, we must leave a good legacy for our own people. This fighting that they are in will not work. Everybody is asserting that he is right, even those who know that they are wrong are asserting that they are right.
And it's not in the interest of the state.
It's not in the interest of the state. And in the end, nobody will smile if the crisis degenerates beyond this.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gordon Erahan. Thank you, Prince Greg, for taking our time. Well, this is what we call it a wrap on the discussion segment.